Hi, Libra Sun and Rising. Welcome to your May 2022 Astro Update. It's Raina here. So, the significant thing in May, well, one of them is that there's going to be a lot of transits in the sign of Aries, which happens to be your opposite sign. That means that it's in the opposite house, which just so happens to be the house that you rule, the seventh house. This is the house of committed partnerships, and we could just say partnerships in general. Your significant other, your business partner, even one-on-one relationships like friendships. And this can be affected by some of these transits because each transit that comes through this house will be colored by the affairs of that house. This is also the house of legal matters, so any kind of lawsuit or whatever kind of divorce, marriage is a legal contract, we could say. And so these kinds of things can come into play as well with this area. This is also the house of public relations. So how you promote yourself can be impacted by the transits that are present here. On the 2nd of the month, Venus goes into this sector. Venus goes into your opposite sign of Aries. Now, Venus rules this house, being that it rules you. And so it has a natural affinity for the 7th house. This can certainly restore harmony to relationships or just create more of the same. Venus can be about money, so some kind of a legal matter can yield financial gain. Or maybe at least the topic is coming up at some point. So let's say you're going through a divorce and you're finally getting around to sorting out the money side of things. This is just, this is very harmonious for any one-on-one relationship. On the 10th, Jupiter goes into this area as well. Jupiter goes into Aries. So for people who are single, who have Libra Sun or Rising, this Jupiter transit in your 7th house could be very good if you're looking for a long-term relationship. Now, I must say that I'm not suggesting that you are going to have a quickie wedding or something along those lines. I'm speaking primarily of just having ample opportunity to meet somebody who is true relationship material, because the 5th house is the house of love, but it can also be affairs of the heart, and some of those, when we use the word affair, it seems to have a built-in meaning that is a brief love situation, not something that is long-lasting, which is more of the 7th house, because it's, I shouldn't say long-lasting because a marriage can last a week, but hopefully for something that is a long time. So Jupiter in the 7th house can give you a partner. It's almost like you luck out with this person. Maybe you meet them in a very kind of a faded, well, not, I wouldn't say faded, but a lucky kind of a way that it's random. It seems random, but it's really not. It's very fortunate that you met this person. Maybe they're going to be a Sagittarius, the sign that Jupiter rules. Maybe you'll have a lot of freedom within this relationship, and that feels better than what you've had in the past. Maybe you'll travel and meet this person. Jupiter rules long distance travel, or they will be of a different ethnicity. They'll be a foreigner, maybe a different race, something like that. Okay, so that's very exciting. Public relations can go very well. You can really put yourself out there or get a great reach for people. You publicize yourself. On the same day that Jupiter goes into Aries, Mercury goes retrograde at 4 degrees of Gemini. And this is a fellow air sign. It's coming from that ninth house. So I wouldn't be surprised, because the ninth house is Jupiter's domain. I wouldn't be surprised if you're hearing from someone, maybe an ex who lives in a foreign country, because Mercury retrogrades can have you hearing back from people. And with Jupiter on the very same day going into the 7th house, or even if it's not like an ex-husband or wife, it's somebody who you maybe had always hoped that would be that kind of relationship, and somehow your communication got severed. You might hear back from them. And who knows, maybe that will be the one that you end up with. Because this is happening in the 9th house, if you've had any travel plans, they may be put on hold for a few weeks while you sort out paperwork, or if you have to get registered for some kind of, I don't know, if it has transportation issues attached to it, like the flight got canceled. I don't know how else to imagine it, but you have to be flexible with anything related to traveling to foreign countries, because there might be something that goes awry. And also something to do with a graduation even, I would say, because this is in the time frame. May is a time when a lot of semesters end, probably the vast majority. And with Mercury retrograde here, this is higher education. So, if you have some kind of problem with your grades, something might be, or maybe if you're graduating and the what do they call that? I can't think. It's early morning. I can't think of anything right now, but I was thinking of report cards, but the transcript, that something is funky with that. On the 16th of May, there's going to be a lunar eclipse at 25 degrees of Scorpio. And for Libra, sun and rising, this is going to be in your 2nd house of earned income. And I'm saying this with such confidence, but actually this is a general reading. I know that a lot of people understand that, but it's always good to remind people that your individual chart will be different in terms of how it is constructed, and so the exact dates may be off somewhat, or these transits may not fall in the same houses all the time. But anyway, so this is actually your being in your 2nd house in this lunar eclipse. This could be a breakthrough financially. I used to be afraid of lunar eclipses in like the 2nd house, because I thought, oh my gosh, money is just going to disappear. But to me, it's really more of a concentrated harvest, meaning that if somebody has put a lot of effort into something and maybe they haven't seen a payoff, and it seems like it's been drawn out quite a bit, that this can be something that comes back to them very strongly. And that could include like getting a great raise, like maybe getting a promotion, and what comes along with that is quite a step up financially, or a breakthrough, maybe if you have your own business and you've just been treading water, and then all of a sudden you're put to the next level. So this can also be on more of the emotional level, having to do with your own sense of self-esteem, because the second house rules the net worth as well as the self-worth. And for Libra, of course, I think that this is going to involve your personal power, which Scorpio can be about to some degree. And the reason, and it, of course, valuing yourself, I think that a very important aspect of this for Libra is learning to stand on your own 2 feet on an emotional level, not physically necessarily, but on an emotional level. And I think with this Aries energy, it really brings home this idea of having to be secure within yourself when you're trying to navigate a relationship. It's very treacherous, actually, to be in a relationship and have low self-esteem, because if you're with somebody that is aware of this, and if they have low self-esteem and they need to feel a sense of power or control, they can exploit that fairly easily. And this, to me, also includes your sense of your physical appearance. I don't know, I've just felt called to say that because who was it? Oh, I don't know how many of you know who Laura Nero is, but she was a highly esteemed singer-songwriter who was very active in the late 60s, or you could say mid 60s to early 70s. And she wrote for other people some famous songs, like for the Fifth Dimension, things like that, that became, big hits. But she had like I'm starting to read her biography, and she even had issues about her appearance, and she was a Libra. And I was thinking to myself, here is this musical genius, and she didn't have like that typical conformist streak in her in other regards, and yet she still fell prey to that, feeling maybe an inferiority complex about her looks, and she was a gorgeous woman. So I just wanted to say that to you, to be very kind to yourself, and not just kind of accepting in that sense, but you probably are physically attractive. Not that that matters, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So don't be hard on yourself about those kind of things. Okay. On the 20th, the sun goes into Gemini, so the sun is also in that 9th house, and that's really great for positive thinking. So maybe you're going to have this kind of a breakthrough with your self-love initiative, if you're having one, and that's going to extend into your ability to see things on a larger scale, which is what the 9th house is all about, being broad-minded, which is, on the mundane level, but on the more spiritual level, to see what is the meaning of life? Why are we here ultimately? And making that, and that kind of philosophical exploration can really make your mind expand. This is house of expansion in all areas. So, let's see. On the 22nd, Mercury, which is retrograding and started in that ninth house, now goes into the eighth house. Okay, well, there's an important connection from the eighth to ninth houses. We're talking about now being in Scorpio's domain. So, both of these are houses connected to God. The eighth house is more metaphysical, esoteric, kind of occult, kind of hidden, and not, information for the masses. The secrets of the universe, in other words. The ninth house is more of the, how I would characterize the organized religions and the dogma or the philosophies for each religion. But both of them are connected to spiritual matters. Mercury going back here, if you have, it could even be like more studying. If you have been, let's say you are studying to become a yoga teacher, but that has taken you down another path. Because even with spiritual practices, it's always wise to say, why am I doing this? It's not just about doing some mindless rituals that you don't really connect with, but you're just kind of imitating what other people are doing, but really saying, okay, why am I doing this thing? Is this really what I want to do? Or it's just monkey see, monkey do, that kind of attitude. And also, that's why I was saying that esoteric component that the eighth house represents, and maybe getting more into that. If you have the ninth house can be the law, and the eighth house can be, inheritances and other types of money situations. Oh, yeah, it could be like a financial aid situation for, college. Maybe there's some kind of snafu, and that's where the Mercury retrograde in the ninth house is why it originated there. Again, things can get sorted out by the middle of June or so, maybe a little bit after that. Okay. And then let's see. Mars goes into your opposite sign, opposite house on the 24th. This is more combative. This is more aggressive. If you are dealing with some kind of legal affair, it might start to heat up. It might start really politely, and then it starts to heat up. And any kind of romantic situation, it could be everything's going great, and then you start fighting, but it could also be you're feeling this really romantic sense of with someone, and then it becomes more like lusty, but I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I'm saying that there are two sides to love, aren't there? There's the romantic love, and then there's the physical expression of that attraction to that person. Because Venus can be the attraction, but Mars can be that, physical side of things. And so it might signal that you're getting into this committed relationship because perhaps you held off doing anything until you had feelings for that person. And it almost like seals the deal that now you are this couple. On the 28th, Venus goes into Taurus, the sign that it rules. And that for you is the eighth house. So Venus is joining a Mercury, which is retrograding in that house. And another thing to note, if you have somebody that contacts you from your past, this may be a time when you are kind of bearing your soul to that person and saying to them, I always loved you. I never wanted us to break up. You're just kind of like letting your walls down, your barriers down. If you're a Libra sun who has Venus in Scorpio, for instance, you may be the kind of person, or maybe you have Mercury in Scorpio, who doesn't really share your feelings with the people that you should share them with. Or maybe you have the moon in Scorpio. The reason I'm speaking specifically about Scorpio is the eighth house is ruled by Scorpio, but also in terms of people's motivations, having Scorpio inner planets like that can make the person kind of secretive about their emotions. And it's a self-protective device, but what it does is it prevents other people from really knowing you at a deep level. And so I think sometimes Libra people prefer it that way because, you're an air sign. So you may even reject some of your more uncomfortable emotions and thinking that they're wrong, which is absolutely wrong. But it's something that you have to kind of get used to and practice on, because otherwise, making that leap of faith and understanding how beneficial it is for relationships may not be something you can intellectualize. This can also be money from shared resources. So if there's some kind of a legal thing or inheritance, this could be what is being distributed is from another party. And there could be other people connected to that. On the 30th, we have a new moon at 9 degrees of Gemini in that ninth house. And I still think that there might be more that has to, you might have to wait more time for this to fully manifest because of the Mercury retrograde. And Mercury is actually in Taurus at that time. So it's going to take some time for it's going to go direct Mercury on June 3rd. And then, it has to come out of its shadow. So that'll take a little bit of time as well. I've heard that the end of June is the time when we have our next green light portal until like at least mid-August. But I'm assuming that has to do with the Mercury coming out of its shadow. I haven't looked to see the exact date when that's going to happen, but it'll be a few weeks after, at least a couple of weeks after it goes direct on June 3rd. So, those international affairs or something to do with academia, if you feel like things are still up in the air, don't fret, because it just might be a delayed situation. But you'll eventually get it sorted out, Libra, so that's good. So anyway, I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings, which I'm really doing exclusively when I do combination readings for the natal chart analysis plus the transits, some of the important transits of the next 12 months. So I'm devoting an hour to each of these areas for a special price. It's called my deep dive reading. And I have another double reading of chart analysis with the tarot called my whole enchilada reading. And single readings. You can find out more information at the link below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.